If you've ever sat in a waiting room filling out a developmental screening form and had that knot in your stomach, like you already know, you've circled not yet more times than you've wanted to. And then the doctor looked up and said, let's just watch and wait for a few more months. But here's the problem, months turn into more months. That waiting list for the specialist is 6 months long. 18 months if we were in Houston, right? Therapy started, but the progress is slower than expected. And nobody, not one person, has looked at you and said, hey, we need to check your child's nervous system. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today because developmental delays aren't random. They have a root cause. In our office, we look for it first. Now, we see families every single week that have already done everything right. OT and speech therapy, PT, diet changes, specialist referrals. They're not uninvested parents. They're exhausted and dedicated parents who have been failed by a system that only knows how to look at symptoms and dysfunction. Here's what we see time and time again, a child who's bright, curious, clearly capable, but something keeps getting in the way. The words won't come out smoothly. The motor coordination is off. The behavior is dysregulated in ways that don't match the child's intelligence. Now, parents feel it, and they've been told to wait it out long enough. But what nobody has checked is the nervous system underneath it all. So let's dive into it. Your child's nervous system is the master coordinator. So every single thing that your child does, speaking, moving, learning, regulating their emotions, processing sensory input, it's controlled and coordinated by the nervous system. So it's not just about the brain, it's about how the brain communicates with the rest of the body through the spinal cord and through the nerve pathways that run through it. Now, when that communication is working well, development unfolds in the way that it should. When there's stress and interference, what we call subluxation, it's like static on a phone line. The brain's sending the message, but it's not getting through clearly. Muscles don't fire the way that they should. Motor patterns don't develop on schedule. Language processing gets disrupted. Kids work twice as hard to do things that should feel automatic, and the nervous system stays stuck in a stressed, survival based state instead of shifting into growth and development mode. Now, this is what's called dysautonomia. It's an imbalance between the gas pedal fight or flight and the brake pedal rest and digest of the nervous system. You see, when that gas pedal is stuck and the brake pedal is not working, your child can't settle into the calm, regulated state where learning, development, and healing actually happens. So developmental delays are actually a downstream of the nervous system. And here's what most conventional evaluations miss. They measure the output, but never address the source of where it came from. So they test whether your child can do the thing, say the word, complete the task, hold the pencil, but nobody's measuring the neurological foundation that makes all of those skills possible in the first place. So speech delays and motor delays and sensory processing challenges, heck, even social emotional challenges, these don't come out of nowhere. They're downstream effects of a nervous system that's not communicating, not coordinating, and not regulating in the way that it was designed. So think about it like a river. Conventional care keeps looking at what's happening at the mouth of the river, but we go upstream and we look what's blocking the flow. Because until you clear that blockage, you can keep working downstream on problems forever without getting where you need to go. So we use a framework called the perfect storm to help parents understand why some children accumulate neurological stress early and how it compounds over time. So it starts prenatally. Chronic stress during pregnancy affects fetal nervous system development. The stress hormones cross the placenta. Baby's nervous system begins wiring in a stressed, high alert pattern before they've even taken their first breath. And then there's birth. Birth interventions like Pitocin and forceps and vacuums and C-sections, they place significant mechanical force on a baby's head, neck, and the upper spine. The region that houses the brainstem, which is the master regulator of every autonomic or automatic function, like our sleep, our digestion, our immune responses, our motor tone, our sensory integration, when there's trauma there, the ripple effects are profound and long lasting. And then the early childhood years start to pile on with disrupted sleep and ear infections treated with rounds and rounds of antibiotics, formula issues, overstimulation, and a gut microbiome that never fully recovered. Every layer adds more stress to a nervous system that was already running close to its limit. And by the time a child reaches developmental milestone ages, this cumulative load has been building for years. And yet the pediatrician is looking at a checklist that has nothing to do with any of it. So this is why the wait and see is actively costing your child. There's what's called neuroplasticity. which is your brain's ability to form new pathways and adapt. It is the absolute peak in the first several years of life. So this is the window, and it doesn't stay open forever. Every single month that passes in a stressed, subluxated state is a month where the nervous system is building compensatory patterns instead of building on those foundational ones. And compensatory patterns are significantly harder to unwind the longer that they've been in place. So wait and see isn't a neutral strategy. It has a cost, and the cost is the window. So we're not saying that every developmental delay requires chiropractic care. We're saying that no developmental evaluation is complete without looking at the nervous system underneath it all. Because if there's stress and interference and nobody addresses it, everything else that you're doing is working around the root cause instead of resolving it. So this is what we do differently at Haven Family Chiropractic. Because when a family walks in, we don't just start with questions about symptoms. We start with looking at birth, with prenatal, with early life, and then we use the objective neurological assessments called the insight scans. So the neurothermal shows where autonomic nervous system stress is present along the spine. Surface EMG shows us where muscle tension patterns are compensating and where the nervous system is working overtime just to hold the body upright. And then heart rate variability gives us an overall picture of how adaptable and resilient that the nervous system actually is. So the capacity to shift between stress and regulation. And for kids with developmental delays, these scans almost always tell the same story. We see patterns of dysautonomia, elevated tension, poor adaptability that align precisely with the struggles that the parents have been describing for years. And for the first time, those parents have an objective picture of what's actually happening inside their child's nervous system. And from there, we build out a specific plan of care. The adjustments for children are extraordinarily gentle, calibrated to the child's size, their age, and their neurological state. We're not cracking backs. We're restoring communication. We're taking the nervous system out of its stuck sympathetic survival state and helping it shift into a regulated parasympathetic state where healing, development, and learning can actually happen. So the results that we see are not magic. They're neurological. And so when interference comes down and the communication starts improving, children begin accessing capabilities that they've had all along. So parents describe it as watching their child come back online. So developmental delays are not a life sentence. They're a signal, and signals have sources. And so if your child's been in therapy for months or years and you feel like something is still missing, trust that feeling because you're not wrong. You just haven't had someone look at the right thing yet. So DM us the word delays. Check the link within our bio or call our office directly to schedule the consultation and the neurological insight scans for your child. Our team at Haven Family Chiropractic, right here in Katy, are here to help you find the answers that you've been searching for. Your child has more potential than anyone has shown you yet. So let's find out what's been getting in the way.